Namaste, beautiful souls. Welcome to the sacred journey of Kal Mantra, Embrace Divine Grace. Let the celestial vibrations uplift your spirit and guide you toward inner peace, abundance, and divine blessings. Open your heart, chant with devotion, and awaken the infinite grace within you.
Welcome to The Deep Dive, the show where we plunge into complex topics, peel back the layers of information, and bring you the most important nuggets of knowledge and insight. Our mission, well, it's to give you that shortcut to being truly well-informed, complete with some surprising facts and just enough humor, hopefully, to keep you hooked.
That's the plan.
Today, we're taking on a symbol that many might think they understand, but which holds an astonishing depth of history, meaning, and even controversy. The lingam.
Right.
It's a subject far more profound and multifaceted than, a superficial glance might suggest. We're excited to unpack its surprising journey through time and culture, revealing layers you might never have imagined.
That's exactly right. And for this deep dive, our primary source material is essentially a comprehensive Wikipedia entry on the lingam. It draws from a vast array of scholarly and traditional sources itself.
Okay.
And our mission, as always, is to extract those crucial pieces of information and insights, offering you multiple perspectives, some intricate details, but, without ever overwhelming you.
Right, keep it manageable.
Exactly. We'll explore its ancient origins, its evolving interpretations, its varied physical forms, and its profound significance within Hinduism and even beyond.
So let's jump straight in then. When most people hear the word lingam, they often conjure a very specific image, right? And sometimes it's pretty narrow.
Definitely.
But what exactly is a lingam at its core? I think we need to challenge those preconceived notions right from the start and invite you, the listener, to consider the word's original meaning, because it's truly expansive and, frankly, surprising.
It is indeed. The term lingam comes from the Sanskrit word linga, and its core meaning is quite simple, yet incredibly profound. It means sign, symbol, or mark.
Sign, symbol, or mark. Okay.
Yeah, it's far broader than just an iconic representation. Think of it more as an indicator, perhaps, or a characteristic.
Okay.
In ancient Indian texts, its usage was remarkably diverse. For instance, in the Upanishads and the epic literature, linga often translates to evidence, proof, or symptom.
Evidence or proof.
And specifically referring to the evidence or proof of Shiva and Shiva's immense power.
So it's not necessarily a physical object itself, but maybe something that points to or reveals something else.
Precisely. It's about what something signifies, what it indicates. Consider the Shvetashvatara Upanishad. It's a text known for its really deep philosophical insights.
Right.
It delves into the profound meaning that Shiva, as the Supreme Lord, has no liga. Now, this might sound a bit counterintuitive given our topic.
Yeah, a little.
But it means Shiva is transcendental. He's beyond any characteristic, beyond any sign, and crucially, beyond the sign of gender.
Ah, okay.
So in this context, the liga signifies the evidence or sign of the existence of the formless Brahman, the ultimate reality, which can't really be captured by any earthly characteristic.
Wow. That's a powerful philosophical concept right there. It forces us to fundamentally rethink what a sacred symbol can be. It's not just a representation, but about what it points to on a deeper, more philosophical level.
Exactly.
It's about what it signifies rather than what it is just on the surface.
And this meaning wasn't exclusive to spiritual texts either. To give you an analogy, early Indian texts on logic used liga in the context of inference, reasoning.
Okay, yeah.
Imagine a classic example. If there is smoke, there is fire.
Right, standard logic.
Here, the smoke is the liyuga. It's the sign, the evidence of the fire. The smoke is the tangible proof of the fire's unseen existence. It's a clear causal connection, an indicator.
That analogy really clarifies the inferential aspect.
Yeah.
So expanding on that, if liga is about evidence, would a medical diagnosis also involve discerning these signs or symptoms?
That's an excellent point, absolutely. In early Sanskrit medical texts, the liga was indeed used to mean symptom or signs.
Makes sense.
It played a crucial role in the diagnosis of, sickness. A symptom is, after all, a sign, an indicator of a particular underlying condition.
Okay.
And it goes even further. Grammatical treatises, like those by the revered grammarians Panini and Patanjali, use liga to mean that which paints, variegates, or characterizes.
Huh. That's interesting.
And, quite interestingly, it also meant gender.
So it's about what defines or categorizes something, like a grammatical category or maybe a distinguishing feature.
Exactly. Even in sophisticated philosophical schools like the Vaisheshika Sutras and the Nyaya school, Lyoga means proof or evidence, a conditionally sufficient mark or sign that allows one to deduce something else.
Right.
In the Samkhya Sutras and their extensive commentaries, Lyoga takes on even more contextual meanings. It can refer to the subtle body, or Lyasarita.
The subtle body.
Yes, which is connected to the nature of Atman, the self, and the mechanisms of rebirth. This concept suggests that there is an imperceptible essence of a thing, its potentiality, you could say, that precedes its concrete, perceptible form.
So like potential before actuality.
Kind of. Think of fire existing latently in a kindling stick. Its lita, its essence or potential, isn't destroyed and can be seized again by another stick. It represents its imperceptible essence before it becomes visible fire.
That's quite a leap from a simple sign or symptom to the subtle body and the mechanics of rebirth. My brain is doing some serious philosophical gymnastics trying to grasp that. It truly is a deep dive.
It genuinely is. And this term appears in other significant Hindu texts too, like the Purva Mimamsa Sutra and Vedanta Sutra, often in the phrase Linga Darsanaka, which means indicative sign, is in a Vedic passage, used to reference prior literature.
Okay.
Even in Buddhist and Jaina literature, the term luga can carry similar meanings of sign or evidence or subtle body, occasionally even with sexual connotations, though that's far less common in these traditions compared to some later Hindu texts.
Wow. This initial exploration already broadens our understanding immeasurably.
Okay.
But the key insight here isn't just that the word is broad.
Right.
It's that this ancient Sanskrit concept of sign or evidence forces us to fundamentally rethink what a sacred symbol can be far beyond a mere physical representation. It's about what it points to on a deeper philosophical level. That's a powerful shift in perspective. It truly reveals a rich tapestry of meanings, far, far beyond any single simplistic interpretation. It's clear that this isn't just about one thing, but about a deep philosophical concept that spans various intellectual traditions.
It absolutely is, and that richness, that depth of meaning, carries over powerfully into its physical forms, which is, where many people first encounter the concept of the lingam.
Right.
It's a transition from the abstract to the tangible, yet the profundity remains.
So we've discussed the abstract meaning of liga as a sign. Now let's visualize this. What does a lingam actually look like in its physical manifestation? And are there different styles? When you see them, they often have a very distinct, though sometimes varied appearance that carries its own profound visual language.
That's an excellent question. And the visual language of the lingam is as rich and diverse as its conceptual meanings. The most common lingam iconography is a short cylindrical pillar,
Okay, cylindrical.
typically crafted from stone, metal, wood, clay, or even precious stones. What's often overlooked, however, is its frequent representation within a disc-shaped platform.
Ah, the base part.
Exactly. This platform is called the yoni, which is its feminine counterpart.
Right.
Together, the lingam and yoni form a powerful combined symbolism. They represent the fundamental union of feminine and masculine principles, the totality of all existence, and the divine, eternal process of creation and regeneration.
So the whole package.
Pretty much. It's about the merging of microcosmos and macrocosmos, illustrating how all existence is perpetually recreated through this dynamic and complementary union.
So it's not just a standalone pillar, but often an integrated sculpture with a base that's equally significant, embodying a holistic principle. You mentioned there are different styles. Could you highlight some of the most striking varieties we find?
Indeed. The iconography is quite diverse, and each style tells a story or emphasizes a particular aspect of Shiva. Let me highlight a few to give you a flavor.
Okay.
One prominent style is the Mukhalingam, literally a faced lingam.
Faced, like with a face
Yeah.
carved on it.
Exactly. It features faces of Shiva carved directly onto the pillar, a striking blend of the aniconic with anthropomorphic elements. You'll often see them with 1, 4, or even 5 faces, representing different aspects of Sadashiva.
Wow.
Then, for sheer intricacy, consider the Ashtatara Sada Linga. This is a large lingam covered in 108 miniature lingams, each perfectly carved onto its surface, known as the Pujabaka.
108 tiny ones.
Yes. And similarly, the Sahasralinga takes this concept even further, featuring 1001 miniature lingams carved on the main body, often set in precise vertical and horizontal lines, truly a testament to devotional artistry and geometric precision.
That sounds incredibly intricate. Must take immense skill and patience to carve those, almost like a fractal representation of the divine.
Absolutely. The dedication involved is immense, and there's also the Dharalinga, which features multiple fluted facets anywhere from 5 to 64.
Fluted like grooves.
Yeah, vertical grooves, with prime numbers and multiples of 4 being particularly favored in their design, adding a distinct architectural elegance. Interesting.
Finally, one of the most compelling visual narratives found in many temples is the Lingudhava. Here, Shiva is depicted dramatically emerging from within a fiery lingam.
Emerging from it.
Yes. This iconography often includes reliefs of Brahma, represented as a swan at the top, and Vishnu as a wild boar at the bottom. This symbolizes a Shiva legend from the Shiva Purana, where Shiva's cosmic superiority is established through a competition between Brahma and Vishnu. Shiva appears as an infinite pillar of fire, proving he is the ultimate, all-encompassing reality.
That's an incredible array of forms, each with its own story and symbolic weight. What about their construction? Are there specific materials or methods that are considered traditional or sacred? It seems like the physical manifestation itself is also highly codified.
Yes, it absolutely is. The physical construction is deeply rooted in Shaiva Agama texts, which detail the specific methods, proportions, and designs down to astonishing precision.
Really detailed guides. Oh yes, lingams can be made from a variety of materials. Clay, various metals like gold or silver, precious stones, wood, or most commonly, stone. There are also shanika lingams, which are made from disposable materials like sand or clay for temporary worship, emphasizing the impermanence of physical form against the backdrop of eternal truth.
Okay. Temporary one.
That's right. The lingam is typically set in the center of a pindika, also known as the yoni or pithas, which symbolizes Shakti, the feminine divine energy.
The base again.
Yes, and these pindika platforms themselves come in diverse shapes: circular, square, octagonal, hexagonal, duodecagonal, hexadecagonal, elliptical, or triangular. Each shape has its own symbolic significance.
So every detail, from material to shape, has a deliberate meaning and purpose. It's not just about aesthetics, but about embodying sacred geometry and philosophy. And I've heard of people who actually wear miniature lingams, carrying them with them. How does that work?
That's correct. These are called chala lingams, meaning moving lingams.
Moving lingams.
They are miniaturized lingams carried by individuals, most notably by the lingayats, who wear them in a necklace. This speaks to a deeply personal and continuous connection with the divine, bringing the sacred into one's daily life in a profoundly intimate way.
Wow.
It's also worth noting that Hindu temple design manuals contain precise geometric ratios for the lingam, the sanctum, and all the architectural features of the temple. Everything's based on mathematical rules considered perfect and sacred.
Sacred geometry again.
Exactly. And anthropologist Christopher John Fuller points out something interesting. While most sculpted images, or murtis, are anthropomorphic or theriomorphic, depicting human or animal forms, the aniconic Shiva Linga stands as an important exception. It represents the divine without a direct, discernible form of a living being. It's abstract, yet incredibly powerful.
So it's not just a pretty picture. It's a profound statement in itself, in its very structure, embodying cosmic principles. This makes me wonder, given all these intricate forms and detailed constructions, how does all this translate into its deeper philosophical and spiritual interpretations? What grand concepts does this symbol truly encapsulate beyond its physical presence?
That's the crux of it, really. At its core, the lingam is conceptualized as an emblem of both generative and destructive power.
Creation and destruction.
Yes. This is especially true in esoteric Kala and Tantra practices, as well as in the broader Shaivism and Shaktism traditions of Hinduism. It represents the cyclical nature of existence, creation, preservation, and dissolution, all embodied within Shiva. It's a dynamic symbol of the cosmic dance that continually renews the universe.
It sounds like it captures the entire cosmic dance of life and death, an unending process.
It does. To reiterate a point we touched on earlier, the Lingam Yoni iconography vividly symbolizes the merging of microcosmos and macrocosmos.
The small and the big picture.
Right. It signifies the divine, eternal process of creation and regeneration, the fundamental union of the feminine and the masculine principles that continually recreates all of existence. It's not just about a single act of creation, but the ongoing, eternal dance of cosmic energies, the synergy that gives rise to all phenomena.
So it's a representation of the entire universe, not just a part of it, and how it perpetuates itself.
Yes, absolutely. The lingam is profoundly regarded as the outward symbol of formless reality. It's the symbolization of the merging of primordial matter, known as prakriti, with pure consciousness, or purusha, within a transcendental context.
Getting philosophical again.
This is where it gets truly abstract and philosophical, moving beyond any limited form. Savaya Subramania Swami, a revered spiritual teacher, for instance, elaborates that the lingam signifies Shiva's three perfections.
Three perfections.
Yes, the upper oval part of the lingam represents Parashiva. That's the absolute reality, timeless, formless, and spaceless, beyond all attributes.
The ultimate unmanifest.
Exactly. And the lower part, the Pitha, or Yoni, represents Parashakti. That's the all-pervasive, pure consciousness and the primal substance of all that exists. Unlike the formless Parashiva, Parashakti is regarded as having form and being the dynamic energy that brings creation into being.
So the lingam, as a complete icon, embodies both the ultimate unmanifest reality and the manifest dynamic aspect of creation. That's an incredibly comprehensive symbol.
Exactly. And Swami Sivananda, another highly influential spiritual figure, captures this beautifully. He states that the lingam speaks an unmistakable language of silence. I am one without a second, I am formlesses.
Language of silence.
He explains that it is merely the external symbol of Shiva's formless being, the eternal, ever-pure, immortal essence of this vast universe, which is your innermost self, or Atman, and is identical with the Supreme Brahman.
Wow.
For some Shaivites, the lingam also symbolically represents the very axis of the universe itself, the central cosmic pillar around which everything revolves, holding all existence together.
That's a truly grand concept. And it's not just a general symbol, but one that's central to specific schools of thought, correct? Mm-hmm. How does this cosmic scale translate into its relevance for specific schools of thought, and what makes it so central to their beliefs?
That's a crucial question. In Shaiva Siddhanta, for example, which is a major systematic school of Shaivism, the lingam is considered the ideal substrate. It's seen as the perfect physical base or form in which the worshiper should install and worship Sadashiva, five-faced and 10-armed form of Shiva, who is the focal divinity of that particular tradition. So it's not just a general representation, but a precisely defined devotional object for specific spiritual practices.
It's clear that the meaning of the lingam is incredibly layered and deep. It's a profound spiritual emblem that resonates on cosmic and individual levels. This really prepares us for a discussion about its most well-known and sometimes controversial interpretation. It feels like we're peeling back the layers of an onion, and this next layer is often the most talked about.
Precisely. It's crucial to understand these multi-layered meanings before we delve into the next part of our discussion, which has often been simplified or, frankly, misunderstood.
We've uncovered so much depth, but there's one aspect of the lingam that often dominates Western understanding, and it's where many misconceptions arise. Its association with the phallus.
Yes.
I'm really keen to understand how this connection originated, and critically, how it's been interpreted and even misinterpreted over time. It's vital to remember that we're impartially reporting on the various scholarly and traditional viewpoints here, not endorsing any specific interpretation, but simply laying out the perspectives.
Absolutely, and that's essential. Let's start with scholarly views that do see the lingam as an extrapolation of a phallic symbol. Scholars like Wendy Doniger, a leading Indologist, and Rohit Dasgupta, among others, acknowledge this association.
Okay.
They present evidence from within Hindu textual traditions. Doniger points to persuasive evidence in later Sanskrit literature, such as the 11th century CE Kashmir text Narmala by Kshemendra. It explicitly explains parallelism between the divine lingam and the human lingam in a sexual context, using direct analogies.
Oh, direct comparisons.
Yes. The Skanda Purana, in section 1.8, also contains verses stating that all creatures possess signs of Shiva or Shakti through their lingam, male sexual organ, or bindi, female sexual organ.
So there's internal textual evidence within Hinduism that directly links it to male anatomy, or at least uses the same term. That's quite direct.
Yes, for some texts, particularly from a specific period. Doniger highlights what she terms a tension within the literature itself.
Tension.
Yes, one part views the lingam as Shiva's phallus, associating it with Saguna Shiva, with physical attributes where sexuality is inherently sacred and a part of the divine creative force.
Okay.
Another, often contrasting part, emphasizes Shiva's ascetic nature, linking the lingam to Nirguna Shiva, the abstract, formless symbol devoid of sexual connotation.
The formless versus the form.
Exactly. This tension, she argues, reflects a historical debate within Hinduism itself between householder, grihastha, and renunciate, sannyasi lifestyles, and their differing approaches to the divine.
Lifestyle differences reflected in theology.
Precisely. And it's important to note that interpretations vary even within Hinduism today. For example, in the Tamil Shaiva tradition, the common term for lingam is kudi,
Kuti.
which means sign or mark, and it's deliberately asexual in its connotation. Similarly, Lingayatism, which we'll discuss in more detail later, considers it purely a spiritual symbol with no sexual connotations whatsoever.
So different groups, different views.
Right. However, it's also true that some extant ancient lingams, such as the Gudi Malam lingam, which we'll delve into, unambiguously depict a male sexual organ. So that adds to the complexity of the debate.
That's a lot of nuance to hold at once.
Yeah.
It sounds like even within Hindu thought, there's not a singular monolithic interpretation. Now let's get to what you call the crucial aha moment, how the lingam became so intensely sexualized in Orientalist literature, which radically shaped his Western understanding.
Yes.
This is where external perspectives really left a lasting mark.
This is a critical historical point. From the 19th century CE onwards, popular literature, particularly in the West, began to represent the lingam almost exclusively as the male sex organ.
Just that one interpretation.
Pretty much. This contrasts starkly with the traditional abstract values it represents in Shaivism, where the lingam yoni signifies the masculine and feminine principles in the entirety of creation.
Right, the totality we talked about.
Exactly. The shift largely stemmed from colonial-era Orientalists and Christian missionaries who, raised in strict Victorian molds where sex and sexual imagery were taboo and considered sinful.
Very different cultural background.
Very different. They were profoundly shocked and hostile to the lingam yoni iconography and reverence they observed in India.
So they were viewing it through their own very specific, very narrow cultural lens, entirely missing the profound abstract meaning.
Exactly. The 19th and early 20th century colonial and missionary literature often described lingam yoni and its related theology as obscene, corrupt, licentious, hypersexualized, puerile, impure, and even demonic.
Wow, really strong language.
Extremely strong. This was in stark contrast to how Hindus, particularly Shaivites, perceived these icons as abstract symbols of creation, consciousness, and spirituality.
Total disconnect.
Completely. This colonial disparagement, interestingly, triggered opposite reactions from some Bengali nationalists. Swami Vivekananda, for example, passionately called for the revival of the mother goddess, or Shakti, as a powerful feminine force,
Pushing back?
urging his countrymen to proclaim her to all the world with the voice of peace and benediction, perhaps in part as a response to this denigration of other Hindu symbols.
So their negative interpretations actually fueled a resurgence of other aspects of Hindu worship or identity. That's a fascinating counter-reaction.
In part, yes, but the impact of this sexualization went deeper, shaping public perception for generations. According to Doniger, the terms lingam and yoni became explicitly and widely associated with human sexual organs in the Western imagination after Sir Richard Burton's widely popular first Kama Sutra translation in 1883.
Oh, Burton's Kama Sutra, that's key.
It is, and what's truly eye-opening and a significant revelation for many is that Burton consciously and incorrectly substituted lingam and yoni for sexual organs.
He substituted them.
Yes, even when the original Sanskrit text used other, more direct terms for sexual organs.
He deliberately changed the language. Why would he do that if the original text used different words? That feels like a significant intellectual distortion.
Doniger explains that this was an Orientalist means to anthropologize sex, distance it, make it safe for English readers,
Make it safe.
by assuring them that the text was not about real sexual organs, their sexual organs, but merely about the appendages of weird, dark people far away.
Wow, so it was a deliberate exoticizing move.
Exactly. This clever, albeit inaccurate, word substitution allowed Burton to navigate Victorian sensibilities while still presenting the material in a palatable, exoticized way. The negative consequences were profound.
I can imagine.
This type of Orientalist literature, stripping away spiritual meanings and insisting on a vulgar interpretation, had a negative effect on the self-perception that Hindus had of their own bodies, leading to a sense of shame about symbols that were inherently sacred to them.
That's awful.
Doninger also notes that some contemporary Hindus, in their passion to spiritualize Hinduism and as part of modern movements, have attempted to sanitize any historic earthly sexual meanings, insisting solely on the abstract spiritual meaning, perhaps as a reaction to this historical shame.
That's a truly powerful and, frankly, tragic outcome of cultural misinterpretation. It's a classic example of how external power dynamics and cultural lenses can distort internal understanding and even cause self-perception issues within a community. But it's also important to hear from those who reject the phallic interpretation entirely, which is a view held by many traditional Hindu scholars pushing back against this historical narrative.
Indeed. Scholars like Stella Kramrisch, a pioneer in Indian art history, and Maurice Winternitz, a renowned ontologist, strongly criticize the sexualization.
What did they say?
Winternitz states that the lingam in the Shiva tradition is only a symbol of the productive and creative principle of nature as embodied in Shiva, and crucially, it has no historical trace in any obscene phallic cult.
No trace, okay.
Alex Wayman, another prominent scholar, confirms that many Indian authors adhering to Shaiva philosophical texts deny that the linga is a phallus. For Shaivites, he explains, a lingam is neither a phallus nor do they practice the worship of erotic penis vulva. Rather, the linga yoni is a symbol of cosmic mysteries, creative powers, and metaphors for spiritual truths, representing something far more profound than mere anatomy.
And what does Swami Sivananda, a revered spiritual leader and founder of the Divine Life Society, say on this very point, given his extensive influence?
Swami Sivananda is very clear and unwavering on this. He states, the correlation of the linga and phallus is wrong. The lingam is only the external symbol of Shiva's formless being, not the sex mark.
Explicitly not the sex mark.
Explicitly. He further elaborates with emphasis. The popular belief is that the Shiva Lingam represents the phallus or the virile organ, the emblem of the generative power or principle in nature. This is not only a serious mistake, but a grave blunder.
Strong words again.
Very. In the post-Vedic period, the linga has become symbolic of the generative power of Lord Shiva. Linga is the differentiating mark. It is certainly not the sex mark. He strongly emphasizes that it is the light or power of consciousness, manifesting from Sadashiva, the ever-auspicious, eternally pure form of Shiva.
This section really underscores the immense complexity and layered nature of the lingam. Understanding it truly requires acknowledging these multiple, often conflicting layers of interpretation that have emerged from different historical periods, cultural contexts, and scholarly approaches. What's truly fascinating here is how the meaning of a symbol can be shaped and even weaponized by cultural lenses and historical power dynamics. It's a powerful lesson in cultural sensitivity and intellectual humility.
Absolutely. And it's a testament to the symbol's enduring power and flexibility that it can hold so many different, sometimes contradictory, meanings simultaneously, reflecting the rich diversity of human thought and spiritual experience.
Given all this profound meaning, rich history, and the intense debates around its interpretation, how is the lingam actually worshipped in practice? What do these rituals look like for devotees, and what is the underlying philosophy that drives these acts of devotion?
The traditional lingam rituals in major Shiva temples are quite beautiful, deeply symbolic, and spiritually immersive. They typically involve offerings of natural elements that symbolize purity and life.
Like what kinds of offerings?
Fragrant flowers, sacred grass like durva, dried rice, fresh fruits, medicinal leaves like bilva, which is particularly sacred to Shiva, fresh water, and often a milk bath poured over the lingam.
A milk bath.
Yes, the act of bathing the lingam, known as abhishekam, is believed to purify the worshiper and invoke divine blessings.
It sounds like a very immersive and sensory experience, engaging multiple senses. What happens during the ritual itself?
It is. While priests chant ancient hymns and mantras that invoke Shiva's various names and attributes, devotees approach the sanctum for a darshana.
Darshana. That's like viewing.
It's more than just viewing. Darshana is a profound visual experience, a reciprocal gaze between the devotee and the deity. It's believed to facilitate a direct spiritual connection and transmission of divine energy.
A connection through seeing.
Exactly. Following Darshana, devotees typically perform a clockwise circumambulation of the sanctum known as pradakshina.
Walking around it.
Yes, symbolizing their reverence and acknowledging the deity as the center of their universe. Inside or near the sanctum, you'll often find other shrines dedicated to Shiva's family, particularly Shakti, often in the fierce yet protective form of Durga and his sons Ganesha, the remover of obstacles, and Murugan, also known as Kartikeya, the god of war and wisdom.
So the worship isn't just about the lingam in isolation, but often involves its divine family, reinforcing the holistic nature of the Shaiva tradition. Beyond the sculpted lingams in temples, you mentioned natural formations. Are these worshipped differently?
They are revered with even greater awe in many cases. Beyond the temples, there's a special category of lingams known as Svayambhuva lingams,
Svayambhuva.
meaning self-manifested or naturally formed. These appear as cylindrical rocks, unique ice formations, or even rocky hills found at special pilgrimage sites. About 70 of these are known across the Indian subcontinent.
70? Wow.
The most significant is often considered to be one in Kashi, or Varanasi, followed by Prayaga, Naimisha, and Gaya. These natural manifestations are considered particularly sacred because they are believed to be self-originated, not sculpted by human hands.
So divine creation, not human.
Exactly. Embodying Shiva's spontaneous presence in the natural world. The act of pilgrimage to these sites itself is a profound form of worship, often involving arduous journeys and the direct experience of nature as divine.
That connection to the natural world, the idea of the divine manifesting itself spontaneously, adds another layer of awe to the symbol. It emphasizes that this is not solely a man-made artifact, but something that can be found in the very fabric of nature, making the entire landscape a potential place of worship.
Indeed. It highlights the pervasive presence of Shiva's energy in the world, transcending the need for human craftsmanship to convey the sacred. It's a powerful reminder that the divine is immanent, present everywhere.
We've seen the lingam's profound meanings and diverse forms, but symbols, like language, are rarely static, right? Understanding its full story means looking at its journey through time, tracing its evolution from antiquity. Let's wind the clock back to its earliest possible traces, beginning with some intriguing archaeological finds.
This historical deep dive is crucial for understanding the full context and evolution of the lingam. We begin with the tantalizing evidence from the Indus Valley civilization, dating before 2300 BCE.
Way back.
Yes. Colonial-era archaeologists like John Marshall and Ernest Mackay proposed that certain artifacts found at Harappan sites specifically, short cylindrical pillars and ring-shaped stones, might be evidence of Yoni Linga worship.
Okay, that early.
That's the proposal. Chakravarti supports this, mentioning unmistakably phallic stones and terracotta Shivlinga replicas at Kalabangan, an important Indus site. Srinivasan also points to a seated, trident-headed ethyphallic figure found on Indus seals, which he compares to early depictions of Shiva, suggesting a very ancient pre-Vedic link.
So some scholars see clear, albeit debated, early evidence. But I recall there being significant counter-arguments to this initial hypothesis. How do those scholars weigh in?
That's right. Encyclopedia Britannica and renowned historian Arthur Llewellyn Basham dispute this evidence. They argue there's no conclusive proof of lingam worship, and that the artifacts could be interpreted in many other ways, maybe game pieces or structural elements.
Mundane explanations.
Right. Wendy Doniger calls some of these early interpretations wild speculations. However, Indologist Asko Parpala offers a nuanced view.
Wow.
While Marshall and Mackay's initial hypotheses were slender, he says, later re-examination of Harappan sites reveals more explicit erotic and sexual scenes, including ithyphallic males and naked females.
Ah, so more context later.
Right. This, Parpala suggests, means the hypothesis of proto-lingam worship cannot be ruled out. He notes that a finely polished circular stand found by Mackay could indeed be a yoni, with the absence of a linga possibly due to it being made of wood that didn't survive the millennia. So the debate continues, but the possibility of a very ancient connection remains an active area of scholarly discussion.
What about the foundational Vedic texts?
Yeah.
How does the lingam feature there, if at all?
Interestingly, the explicit word lingam as an icon is not found in the Rig Veda or other early Vedas.
Not there by name.
No. Though Rudra, a proto-Shiva deity who embodies aspects of destruction and fertility, is certainly present. A significant theory championed by scholars like Swami Vivekananda suggests that the lingam as an object of worship originated from a famous hymn in the Atharva Veda Samhita.
From a hymn.
Yes, this hymn praises the Upastamva, the sacrificial post used in Vedic rituals, idealizing it as the eternal Brahman, the cosmic pillar supporting the universe.
The sacrificial post becomes cosmic.
That's the idea. Swami Vivekananda believed that this Upastamva gradually gave way to the Shiva Linga, possibly influenced by the stupa shapes found in early Buddhism, evolving into a central iconic form. The Linga Purana, a later Puranic text, expands on this Atharva Veda hymn, interpreting the lingam as a cosmic pillar symbolizing Shiva's infinite nature, connecting the ancient sacrificial post to a grand cosmological vision.
So it transitioned from a ritualistic sacrificial post to a cosmic symbol embodying infinite reality. And the Shvetashvatara Upanishad's use of Liyuga as a sign comes into play here too, right? What does that tell us about its early philosophical understanding?
Yes, that Upanishad is crucial for understanding the philosophical groundwork. It states that the primary meaning of Liga in this context is the imperishable Purusha, the absolute reality.
The absolute again.
Here, Liga is a sign that indicates the existence of Brahman, which is itself formless and beyond attributes. It further notes that Shiva is transcendent, beyond any characteristic or Liga, specifically the sign of gender, meaning Shiva is beyond all dualities. Linga, as a sign, signifies not only the existence of perceptible things, but also the imperceptible essence of a thing, or pieces of Brahman called Atman, even before that thing exists in a concrete form. It denotes the subtle body, Lika Sharira, which ontologically precedes anything perceptible, emerging from Prakriti, the imperceptible substratum of the manifest world. This deep philosophical meaning predates much of the iconic worship we see later.
That's a fascinating philosophical thread. It highlights that the lingam's conceptual roots are incredibly profound, striking into the very nature of reality itself. Now, let's move into the period where physical lingam iconography starts to appear more definitively in temples, from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st millennium CE. This is where the abstract concepts begin to take on tangible form.
This is indeed where we see concrete archaeological and sculptural evidence. The Gudimalam Lingam, dated to the 3rd, 1st century BCE, is one of the oldest and most significant.
Gudimal.
What's truly remarkable is that it is still worshipped today, embodying an incredible continuity of faith spanning over 2 millennia.
Still worshipped now. Amazing.
It is. It's a striking example because it is an anatomically accurate phallus, carved with a figure of Lakulisha, an ascetic manifestation of Shiva, on its front. The Kulisha is depicted holding an antelope and an axe, and stands on a dwarf, a pasmara, symbolizing spiritual ignorance that must be subdued.
So it's clearly a phallic form. This seems to directly contradict some of the non-phallic interpretations we discussed earlier. What was the primary meaning or intention behind this depiction in this early context?
This is a crucial point that often gets misinterpreted and needs careful unpacking. In this earliest representation, the phallic depiction does not, for traditional Shaivites, primarily illustrate fertility or eroticism.
Yeah, fertility.
No. Instead, it powerfully illustrates the centrality of the energetic principle of Urdhva-Retas.
Urdhva-Retas.
This Sanskrit term literally means ascent of vital energies or fluid. It refers to the upward flow of spiritual energy in spiritual pursuits and the practice of celibacy, or brahmacharya.
Ah, celibacy. So the opposite of procreation.
Exactly. It is explicitly contrary to fertility, or the outward release of vital energies for procreation. Stella Kramrisch, a renowned art historian, states that the erect phallus in this context negates procreation, symbolizing seminal retention, and Shiva's complete control of the senses, and thus his mastery over material desires.
Control and mastery.
It's about channeling creative energy for inner spiritual regeneration and transcendence, not physical generation. This makes the Gudimalam Lingam a symbol of profound ascetic power and spiritual transformation.
That's a significant distinction, almost a paradox, a phallic form that signifies celibacy and spiritual control. It completely reframes how one might initially perceive it. To think a symbol carved over 2,000 years ago is still being actively worshipped today, it's almost dizzying. It speaks to an incredible continuity of faith, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Another important example from this early period is the Bida Linga from around the 2nd century BCE, now housed in the Lucknow Museum.
Bida Linga.
It also features 4 directional faces carved on the pillar and a Brahmi script inscription. This pillar is likewise a realistic depiction of a phallus, but again, in its original context, it symbolized urdhvaretas during sannyasa, or asceticism.
Same theme.
Reinforcing the theme of spiritual discipline and inner power, not fertility or sexuality. Mathura and Bhumara Temple from the Gupta era, 4th-6th century CE, also showcase early lingam iconography, further demonstrating its evolution and widespread acceptance as an aniconic representation of Shiva.
This historical context really changes how we perceive those early forms, moving them far beyond a simplistic, singular interpretation. What about the great epics and Puranas? These are vast bodies of literature. How did they shape the lingam's meaning and popular understanding?
The Mahabharata, one of the two great epics, for instance, represents the lingam in various ways. It can be seen as the phallic form, suggesting the stula sarira, or gross body, of Shiva, imbued with immense cosmic power.
The physical body.
Right. However, it also connotes much more, functioning as Shiva's subtle body, or lusuriya, and evoking fierce potency on a cosmic scale, capable of both creation and destruction.
Subtle body again.
The epic expertly weaves together two seemingly polar opposites: the fertile lingam, representing the potentially procreative phallus, and its opposite, stanu, which means an inanimate pillar, and also a name of Shiva signifying his immobile, ascetic, desexualized form. This dual portrayal highlights the paradoxes inherent in Shiva's nature. He is both the ultimate ascetic and the source of all creation.
That's fascinating, how the mythology holds both seemingly contradictory ideas within the same symbol. It's a testament to the depth and flexibility of Hindu thought.
It is part of its rich complexity. The Linga Purana, dating from the 5th-10th century CE, profoundly states that Shiva is signless, without color, taste, smell, that is beyond word or touch.
Beyond the senses.
It posits that the universe itself is the manifested linga, a union of the unchanging principle, Purusha, and ever-changing nature, Prakriti. It expands on that Atharva Veda hymn we mentioned earlier, interpreting the lingam as a cosmic pillar symbolizing Shiva's infinite nature, the complete symbolic representation of the formless universe bearer.
The cosmic pillar idea again?
Yes. The Skanda Purana echoes this grand cosmological vision, stating, "The endless sky, that great void which contains the entire universe, is the linga. The earth is its base. At the end of time, the entire universe and all the gods finally merge in the linga itself." This portrays the lingam not as a phallus, but as the cosmic pillar, the axis mundi, that encompasses all existence and to which all existence returns.
What about the dramatic origin story that often gets associated with the lingam's physical form? The one about Shiva's phallus falling and causing cosmic disturbance.
Ah, yes, that's a key narrative from the Shiva Purana, written around the 10th, 11th century CE. It provides a vivid mythological explanation for the origin of the phallic form.
How does the story go?
In this story, Shiva, in a hideous, naked, ascetic form, smeared with ashes and holding his phallus, appears to test the devotion of some sages. The sages, deluded by Shiva's power of illusion and disturbed by his appearance, become enraged and curse him.
They curse Shiva.
Yes, causing his phallus to fall and burn everything in its path across all three worlds. The worlds are distressed, and the gods, along with the sages, seek refuge from Brahma. Brahma advises them to pray to Parvati,
Parvati steps in.
who then assumes the form of a yoni to stabilize the fallen phallus. The fixed phallus in the yoni then symbolizes the eternal creative forces, becoming static after rituals are performed, bringing order back to the cosmos.
So the union brings stability.
Exactly. This dramatic event is also part of the broader Lingadhava legend, where Shiva emerges from an infinite, fiery cosmic pillar, proving his superiority over Brahma and Vishnu, who were depicted unable to find its top or bottom, highlighting Shiva as the supreme, all-encompassing deity.
That's a truly powerful narrative, explaining both the phallic form and the lingam-yoni union through a mythological lens, embedding it within a story of cosmic order and divine supremacy. What happened to the lingam and its perception during Muslim rule in India, starting around the 11th century CE? How did this shift in power affect its status and understanding?
With the conquests by various Muslim rulers, particularly the iconoclastic sultans of Delhi, the lingam often faced severe destruction. These rulers, coming from a monotheistic tradition that prohibited idolatry,
Right, iconoclasm.
regarded the lingam primarily as a sexual and anthropomorphic statue of Shiva and ordered its demolition. For instance, Mahmud of Ghazni famously attacked the Somnath temple in 1026 CE, which housed a renowned Shiva Lingam, seeing it as a symbol of pagan worship to be eradicated.
Deliberate destruction.
Yes. In some instances, lingams were deliberately laid at the thresholds of mosques for public usage, or even incorporated into Islamic architecture as symbols of conquest and subjugation, such as at a mosque in Bampur. This is a clear strategy to assert dominance and disparage existing religious practices.
That's a stark example of religious and political power dynamics impacting sacred symbols, leading to desecration and a deliberate reframing of their meaning. And earlier, you mentioned that British missionaries also contributed to a negative perception, adding another layer to this external misinterpretation.
Yes. Wendy Doniger points out that British missionaries also most despised what they regarded as the obscene idolatry of the lingam. Raised in Victorian England, a culture highly prudish about sexuality.
The Victorian lens again?
They viewed Hindus as simultaneously oversexed and impotent, creating a bizarre and contradictory stereotype. This colonial presence, combined with the earlier Muslim campaigns against lingams, profoundly affected Hindu self-perception.
How so?
Doniger argues that this historical denigration had a negative effect on the self-perception that Hindus had of their own bodies, leading to a sense of shame regarding what was, for millennia, a deeply sacred and abstract symbol to them.
It really makes you think about how narratives can change and be manipulated over time, doesn't it? The lingam's history is a microcosm of larger cultural and political shifts, impacting how a symbol is understood, revered, or even desecrated. It's a powerful reminder of how external forces can distort and reshape internal cultural understandings.
Absolutely. The historical lens adds immense depth to its meaning and reveals the complex interplay between religion, culture, and power.
What's truly fascinating here is how some traditions have woven the lingam into their daily lives in such a profoundly personal way. Let's shift our focus now to Lingayatism, a vibrant tradition that truly places the lingam at its very core, making it an intimate part of a devotee's being.
Lingayatism, originally known as Veerashaivism, is a vibrant and distinct Shaivite sect that emerged in Karnataka, South India around the 12th century CE.
12th century, okay.
It was founded by Basava and emphasizes monotheism, social reform, and a strong personal devotion to Shiva. What makes this tradition particularly unique and compelling is their practice of wearing a miniaturized lingam.
The tiny ones we mentioned.
Yes, called the Istalinga or Karastalinga, meaning lingam in the palm of the hand, constantly in a necklace.
So it's not just a temple idol, something to be visited, but rather something intimately carried on one's person, embodying a continuous presence of the divine. How does that transformation from temple to personal object shape their spiritual practice?
Precisely. The Istalinga is a highly personalized, oval-shaped emblem of their faith, meticulously crafted, often from a gray slate paste. It's not viewed as a mere object or an image, but as a living, moving divinity residing within the Lingayat devotee.
Living divinity within.
Yes. For Lingayats, the Istalinga symbolizes Parashiva, the absolute reality, the ultimate formless consciousness, and their profound, continuous spirituality. It transforms the concept of divine presence from something external to an internalized, ever-present reality.
How does it work day to day?
Every day, as part of their ritual, the devotee removes this personal lingam from its small protective box, places it reverently in their left palm, offers a puja of small flowers, water, or rice, and meditates on becoming one with the lingam.
Meditating on the lingam.
Yes, on their journey towards the Atma Linga, which represents the ultimate realization of the self, the lingam of the soul.
That's an incredibly intimate and continuous relationship with the symbol. It truly transforms the concept of worship from something done externally in a temple to an ongoing personal spiritual practice integrated into every moment of daily life. It's almost as if they're carrying a piece of the cosmos, a piece of Shiva, with them wherever they go.
It highlights the deeply personal and internalized nature of their devotion, where the divine is not distant but carried with them, always accessible, always a source of guidance and meditation. It underscores their belief in the inherent divinity within each individual, and the Istalinga serves as a constant reminder and focal point for that realization. It's a profound example of how a symbol can be integrated into the very fabric of identity and daily spiritual discipline.
To wrap up our deep dive, let's look at some of the incredible places where the lingam manifests, both naturally and as grand monuments, across the vast Indian subcontinent. It's truly astonishing how this symbol is integrated into the spiritual and physical landscape, embodying the belief that the divine is everywhere.
Indeed. We've talked about human-made lingams, from intricate temple carvings to portable istalingas, but there are also prominent natural lingams known as Svayambhuva lingams,
The self-formed ones.
believed to be self-formed and thus profoundly sacred direct manifestations of Shiva. One of the most famous and awe-inspiring is the Amarnath ice lingam.
The ice lingam. Heard that.
Located in a remote cave in the western Himalayas in Jammu and Kashmir. This unique formation occurs every winter as water drips onto the cave floor and freezes, gradually forming a stalagmite that perfectly resembles a Shiva Lingam.
Wow, nature carving it.
It is. It's a highly popular and challenging pilgrimage site, drawing countless devotees who undertake arduous journeys to witness this natural marvel, feeling a direct connection to the divine in its pristine natural form. The sheer ephemeral nature of it, appearing and disappearing with the seasons, adds to its mystique.
That's a powerful example of nature itself creating a sacred form, a true testament to the belief that Shiva is omnipresent. Are there other natural lingams made of different materials, perhaps more permanent ones?
Yes. There are also sphatika, quartz lingams. For instance, the Kadavul Temple in Hawaii, a prominent Western Hindu temple, houses a magnificent 700-pound, 3-foot-tall natural sphatika linga.
A giant crystal lingam.
A shimmering crystal, yes. Hindu scripture rates crystal as the highest form of Shiva Lingam due to its purity and clarity, further emphasizing their sanctity and spiritual potency.
Interesting.
Then there's Shivling Mountain, a majestic 6,543-meter peak in the Himalayas, part of the Gangotri group of peaks.
A mountain named Shivling.
And from certain angles, especially when traveling from Gangotri to Gomukh on a pilgrimage, this peak strikingly resembles a Shiva Lingam, appearing as a natural temple reaching for the heavens. Pilgrims often recount being deeply moved by its imposing and spiritual presence.
So the very landscape itself can embody the divine symbol, not just in a small rock, but in a massive mountain. That's truly breathtaking.
It can. Another example is Banalinga. These are lingams naturally formed and found on the bed of the sacred Narmada River in central India.
Riverbed stone.
Yes, smooth elliptical stones believed to be sacred manifestations of Shiva and highly sought after by devotees for personal worship. And in Chhattisgarh, there's the Bhuteshwarnath Mahadeva, a massive rock Shivlinga claimed by locals to be the largest natural Shivlinga in the world, said to be increasing in height annually, deepening its mystique and attracting continuous pilgrimage.
Growing on its own. Fascinating.
Beyond natural wonders, there are also monumental man-made lingams showcasing human devotion on a grand scale, such as the tallest Shiva Lingam in the world, located in Chinkal village, Kerala, a truly impressive feat of engineering and faith.
That's incredible. It really underscores the enduring and pervasive presence of the lingam across various forms and locations. From the ice-carved marvels of the Himalayas to massive rock formations and rivers and intricately crafted monuments that stand as testaments to human devotion, the lingam is deeply integrated into the spiritual and physical landscape of the Indian subcontinent. It truly is a symbol of immense significance, found everywhere and in everything.
Its presence in both natural and constructed forms truly emphasizes its profound significance to devotees, demonstrating that Shiva's presence is not confined to temples, but can be perceived in the very geography of the land, in the raw power of nature itself, and within the human heart.
And that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the lingam. We've journeyed from dissecting the etymology of sign to exploring diverse iconographies, profound spiritual interpretations, contentious historical debates about its phallic associations, and living traditions like Lingaitism, right up to the incredible natural formations found across the subcontinent. It's been quite a journey through layers of meaning.
Indeed. The core takeaway from this deep dive is that the lingam is not a singular, easily defined object, but a multifaceted symbol of immense depth. It represents creation, consciousness, transcendence, and the cyclical nature of existence. It truly transcends simplistic or singular interpretations and invites us to look deeper, to embrace complexity, and to appreciate the rich tapestry of human spirituality.
Hopefully this deep dive has given you a fresh perspective and some truly surprising facts about a symbol you might have thought you knew. We've seen how its meaning has been debated, misinterpreted, and profoundly revered over millennia, and how its significance shifts depending on the lens through which it's viewed. It's a powerful reminder of how symbols evolve and adapt across cultures and centuries.
It's a powerful reminder that every symbol, every tradition, holds layers of history and interpretation that are far richer and more nuanced than initial appearances might suggest. It encourages us to question surface interpretations and seek out the deeper stories.
So next time you encounter a symbol, anywhere, whether it's in art, architecture, or even daily life, maybe consider what layers of meaning, history, and interpretation might lie beneath its surface. What hidden depths are waiting for you to uncover, and how might your own cultural lens be shaping your understanding?